Hi, everyone. For the last 10 years of my career as a marine ecologist, I've been shot at, arrested, banned from many of the remote locations that I've worked in. And these remote locations generally have a lot of political instability, and basically this political instability contrasts beautifully with the rich marine biodiversity and the marine habitats in the regions. I call these places the forsaken seascapes. The image that you see behind me is of fishermen in the Red Sea. They're fishermen in the southern coast of Egypt, along the border of Sudan. It's a remote location. They are fishing in the largest national park of Egypt. It's actually the largest national park of the Red Sea, completely unmanaged national park. We don't know where they fish, what marine biodiversity they use, how they fish, or how much they fish. And we're trying to collect this information now. We're trying to collect these very important pieces of the puzzle that will help us manage these marine ecosystems. What we do know is that there are three important marine habitats: the mangroves, the seagrasses, and the coral reefs. The mangroves are critically connected to the seagrass. So for instance, fish that recruit in the mangroves as tiny larvae move to the seagrasses as juveniles, and then they move to the coral reefs as adults to settle and raise a family, and the cycle continues. It's also a very important place for dugongs. Seagrasses harbor the last remaining individuals of dugong in the Red Sea. And of course, there are 30 or more very important marine species of megafauna that are threatened, that are in the other habitats. So all these habitats are interconnected, and it's very important that we protect at least a portion of all three habitats so that we can have the system survive as an entire ecosystem. Because of the unique location of these reefs and the geomorphology and oceanography, these reefs may be the most resilient to climate change impacts such as temperature increases. So what that means is that these reefs may be some of the last remaining reefs that globally survive the climate change crisis. Unfortunately, they're also in the area of the Halayib Triangle, an area that is disputed between Egypt and Sudan, and where there's an army on one side of the border and an army on the other side of the border. Needless to say, this makes for very interesting fieldwork. But this region is not unique in its geopolitical instability. In fact, most of the places I work in the Red Sea are characterized by this lack of security and geopolitical instability. And I want to leave you with one last image from Yemen, where the coastal fishermen can't access the sea because of the conflict between the Saudi Arabians and the Houthis. And the fishermen are desperate for a source of protein. So they have basically ventured inland and up the hill to capture whatever wildlife they can find to eat or sell. So the story is no longer a story about coastal people and marine biodiversity. It's a story that has basically spilled over to threatened, endangered wildlife. And as I tell you the story of the Red Sea today, to this room full of global changers, what I hope is that these areas that I've spoken about, these areas that are forsaken, that have been forsaken until now, are areas that are not forgotten, and hopefully soon will be redeemed. Thank you very much.